There's a disaster level that's been used for some of the most unbelievably overpowered monsters in the series so far. It's not Dragon, it's not even God, it's just simply Unknown. The Unknown disaster level title has been used sparingly throughout the series, but to this point hasn't really been explained in any amount of detail, which I mean makes sense given its name. I mean, you can kind of chalk this up to one in Muradic wanting to give the impression that this specific monster is new to the heroes, or very little is known about it, so it's quite literally unknown. But I also believe that this disaster level title signifies something much more than that, a power that is so great and so awestrucking that literally the only title you can give it is Unknown. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a few monsters that have been designated to be unknown on the threat level scale, and by looking at them we're going to try to figure out exactly where this threat level lies of the known disaster levels. So stick around until the end so you can know everything there is to know about this mysterious yet unofficial disaster level Unknown. And just before we get into all that, if you guys enjoy One Punch Man content, then honestly there is nowhere else on the internet that you need to be, because I post One Punch Man content on here multiple times a week, from theory videos to discussions to chapter reviews, where I probably put a chapter review out before you even know there's a chapter. So I'm pretty good with getting on top of these chapter reviews and getting them out to you probably before anybody else. So you definitely want to be subscribed with notifications on so you can be the first person to know as soon as the next video drops. But yeah, that's my whole spiel. Let's get into the video. So the first monster we're going to be talking about here is actually the reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place, because I remember after seeing this monster, I just had my head racing, like what if this monster had faced any other opponent? How well would they fare against the heroes? And that monster I'm referring to is Evil Eye. Evil Eye is one of the first major monsters that the heroes face during the Monster Association raid. And to kind of give you a quick background story on what Evil Eye is and what its abilities are, Evil Eye was a human psychic who was turned into a monster by Giro Giro as a result of Giro Giro's experiments. Giro Giro inserted the eyes of monsters who fell at the hands of heroes into his body to increase his hatred and boost his psychic power. Evil Eye's hatred was amplified from the lingering remnants of the implanted monster eyes and was largely motivated by his monstrous instincts. He had great confidence in himself as he took on Tatsumaki one-on-one, but obviously that confidence was pretty misguided because he was straight up like squished by Tatsumaki. Getting killed so easily would make you think that Evil Eye is a weak monster, but we gotta remember that this is Tatsumaki we're talking about here. She can handle powerful dragon level threats without breaking a sweat. I mean, she can honestly summon an asteroid to take care of a prehistoric dragon level monster and act like she did it just like on the way to work. You know what I mean? It's like stopping by to pick up milk or something. So really the best thing we can go off of when it comes to scaling Evil Eye's power is his only relevant feat, which was lifting a bunch of massive buildings and dropping them on top of Tatsumaki and the heroes. It didn't work out too well for him in the end because Tatsumaki just lifted up a barrier that protected them all, but nonetheless it was a pretty impressive feat, and I think his whole backstory of being a weak Esper and then being implanted with all these eyes from vengeful monsters is pretty damn metal, right? Seeing as how Tatsumaki can handle a dragon level threat with a single attack, you could argue that Evil Eye surviving just one insinuates that he's at least dragon level. I mean, if you go by the literal description of a dragon level threat, which is a monster that could endanger multiple cities, I don't think it would be a hard thing to sell to say that Evil Eye could do this, seeing by just how quickly he can devastate an entire city by picking up those large buildings and dropping them on civilians. It also appears that he can create some sort of psychic storms like how Fubuki and Tatsumaki can. Either way, I'd consider him on the lower end of the dragon scale if he was designated an actual disaster level. So right now we're sitting with Unknown being around threat level dragon and on the lower end of the dragon scale at that. So moving on to a monster that is most definitely not debatable whether he's a dragon or not, at least, we have Sage Centipede, probably the most physically imposing monster we have ever seen so far. Sage Centipede is long enough to reach the stratosphere and strong enough to give a monsterized Garo a pretty hard time. It has an almost impenetrable exoskeleton and some devastating moves like the 6,666 leg grand drill. You guys don't know how many times I had to re-record saying that. So with Sage Centipede's insane regeneration, durability, and raw strength, I really think there's only a handful of characters in the story who could even have a chance of beating him. It's implied that Sage Centipede is a product of God, and his sheer size and destructive power really makes you wonder if a dragon level threat even fits. There's no doubt that Sage Centipede could wipe out entire cities pretty easily, but I'd be hard pressed to say that he also has the potential to straight up threaten human extinction, which is what's required to be a God level threat. I mean, if Blast, Tatsumaki, Garo, or Saitama weren't around, I would say Sage Centipede has a pretty good chance of potentially ravaging the planet enough to exterminate humanity, but you know, that's not the case. We have those heroes, so he's staying somewhere on the higher end of the dragon scale. Now this next monster I honestly do believe could have reached a God level threat if left unchecked, and of course this is Evil Ocean Water. Now I don't think that this is a hot take, but I do honestly believe that Evil Ocean Water was a much larger threat to the planet than Sage Centipede. Starting off as a creation of Psychos as evil natural water, it's a being that reacts to the killing intent of others. It quite literally became a larger and larger threat as the arc went on, absorbing more and more water along with sludge jellyfish, which pretty much made it immune to being frozen, which I mean, you know, it's pretty much the only weakness a water monster can have, right? So it covered its bases. The larger it grew, the more powerful its water jet attacks became, which is a pretty scary idea, seeing as how even in his tiny form, its water jets are able to pierce through humans easily and even steel. Evil Ocean Water is the only monster I honestly believe had the potential to reach threat level God if left unchecked, seeing as how the entire planet is made up of 70% water. So imagine Evil Ocean Water merging with the entirety of the Earth's bodies of water, then honestly guys, it'd be game over. I mean, there's nothing we could possibly ever do. There's more of it than there literally is land. So I don't think I really have to sit here and convince you guys that humanity would be done for if Evil Ocean Water got to as powerful as it potentially could become. That being said, we never got to see Evil Ocean Water reach that point, so it probably died as a very powerful dragon level threat, probably even higher than Sage Centipede. So taking these three monsters into consideration, I honestly can't say that disaster level unknown, if used going forward in the story, would more than likely be used on monsters that are super powerful, at least dragon level, and are so powerful or so mysterious to the known world that they have to be labeled unknown, but be treated as if they were disaster level dragon. It just goes to show you how incredibly busted some of these monsters were during the Monster Association arc, on top of the cadre, on top of Orochi, and on top of all these insane newly revealed monsters that we were sprinkled with throughout the arc. So again, it goes to show you exactly how deep the pool of monsters really goes in One Punch Man, and as the story goes along, I cannot wait to see the next disaster level unknown. And who knows, maybe the next unknown will be strong enough to be debated as the next threat level God. Well, that does it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support you guys give me and all the comments you leave on each one of my videos. I have a great time going through all of your comments and reading each and one of your thoughts. So please make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on the disaster level unknown aspect of One Punch Man, and also maybe some other disaster level unknowns that I have not talked about in this video, or, you know, just stop by and say hi. I'll take that too. But I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.